Do your brakes suck? Do you have a big cam, or in my case, deep gears and big tires? If that's the case, then Hydroboost might be for you. So this video is going to be very square body centric because we're going to be discussing the Hydroboost setup on my Blazer, but this information wise applies to everything. We do a lot of Hydroboost brakes on like hot rods and whatnot because, you know, when you got a big motor with a cam that hits like a drunk stepdad, you ain't got no vacuum. And on a lot of hot rods, those little tiny brake boosters that they make for those, for the vacuum style ones that fit under your floorboards and whatnot, they're so small they barely do anything. So we're gonna go twofold on this video. We're gonna go over how a vacuum system works real quick with the system that I pulled out of this, and then we'll go over how to retrofit, or not retrofit because it's factory GM parts on my truck, but how to switch it over to Hydroboost, the benefits of Hydroboost, and then also some tips and tricks to make sure that when you put it in, it all works properly. So to start, we'll go with what your car probably has or your truck probably has, unless it's like a 1-ton or something, which is vacuum brakes. The way these work is you push your pedal, it pushes this little rod that goes through your booster and comes out the other side into your master cylinder. So the way vacuum boosters work is this side has engine vacuum, this side is atmospheric pressure. So when you push the rod through, that pressure differential assists you pushing your master cylinder. So that's where the assist comes from, is this is atmosphere pressure, this is a vacuum, and it helps pull into it. The problem with that is when you get a big cam or something like that, you don't have any vacuum, so you don't get any boost. The other downside of these is to get more assistance, you need a larger setup. I mean, they make dual diaphragm ones that are smaller and all that, but those are also bigger this way. The other downside with these is they don't have as much assist as Hydroboost. So Hydroboost, on the other hand, uses pressure from your power steering pump to apply consistent pressure to your brake booster, so you get more braking power, you get better braking feel because everything's consistent. Your vacuum fluctuates when you're driving. Your pressure, the hydraulic pressure in your lines, does not. So the way that they work with this system, I didn't put a Hydroboost power steering pump in my truck yet. That will be coming in the future because I'm going to be adding hydraulic assist or hydro assist to my steering rack itself, or steering rack, to my tie rod itself, to have additional steering force because I got big ol' honking tires. So this is set up with a single return port to my pump. A true Hydroboost pump has 2 return ports. You have one return port from your boost and one return port from your power steering box. This one is not that way. They're teed together to the one port back in, and there's a right way and a wrong way to do this tee, so I will explain that to you when we get to that part. So your power, or your pump spins, creates pressure. That pressure goes through and up to your boost unit. It does its thing in there. You've got a chamber that has pressurized, I want to say these have nitrogen in them, but it could be a different gas. Either way, this is pressurized. Then you have 2 outputs. You have your return output that would, in a regular system, go right back into the reservoir, but as I said, in this system it's going to a T. And then you have your pressure out. The pressure out from your boost comes down to your steering box. Then you have your return on your steering box that goes back to your pump. Mine runs through a power steering cooler that is underneath here. Right there's power steering cooler. Runs through that and then back into here where they tee into the pump. So this is where it gets tricky in how you set these tees up. If you set these up wrong, the pressure from your pump will backfeed into this line. It won't be a true return line. It'll be more pressurized. And then you're going to get all kinds of problems at your pedal. Your brakes might drag because there's a bunch of residual pressure in that line, so they can't release all the way. Also, when you turn the steering wheel, that will increase the pressure through this line, so you'll be able to turn the steering wheel and watch your brake pedal pump up and down a little bit, and you can feel it when you're driving. It's enough to bog down your motor a little bit. So the way to avoid that is where you tee these together, you want it to be very close to your return, and you want your return from the Hydroboost to be on the part that 90s into it, right? So the main flow of this tee is into from the rack straight through into the return for my pump. The return from my brake unit is the one that's 90 degrees off of that. If you flip this the other way, it's going to cause a bunch of return pressure in this, and you're going to have those brake issues that I was talking about. So as long as you set your return up like that, you should be good. So the correct way is to get the correct pump with dual returns, and then you'll never have that issue. There's a reason why they come from the factory with 2 returns on the pump. Like I said, I'm going to be adding Hydroboost to mine. I already drilled and tapped my box when I rebuilt my steering box for that. So my truck's already set up and ready. So my truck's already set up and ready to add that to it. On the square bodies, if you get a boost unit, get the pedal assembly with it. The little shaft that's on your pedal, that the shaft from your boost slips onto so that your pedal actuates it, those are a different size between the Hydroboost units and the vacuum boost units. What I did when I set mine up is I cut all my bracketry off for like cruise control and all that stuff off of my old pedal assembly, and I TIG welded all that onto my new pedal assembly. So in theory, I still have cruise control even though I never use it. I wanted to keep it because I could. So you can swap that stuff over. You got to do a little bit of welding because those brackets aren't on, or at least they weren't on this Hydroboost truck. Maybe yours will have them on it. I don't know. But other than that, the pedal assembly is bolt your old one out, bolt the new one in. They're a direct fit to switch it over. So if you're going to do this on a square body, get the pedal assembly and the Hydroboost unit together. And just make your life a little bit easier. I've heard of people running the Hydroboost unit on the other pedal assembly and either drilling stuff out or doing some mishmash stuff to make it fit, but I'm of the mindset of they were engineered to work together. Just do it right. You know what I mean? It might cost you a couple dollars more, but it's going to be right. And I kind of prefer that personally. So yeah, like one of the areas I'm not about cobbling stuff together is my brakes. Brakes are one of the most important things on your truck. So don't compromise. Make sure your brakes work right. The other thing I did when I put all this together is I went to a 1-ton master cylinder because I got 1-ton brakes, front and rear. And the rear's converted to disc on this also. So let me show you the pedal assembly inside. There's nothing real exciting about it. Excuse my interior being apart. I'm still finishing up my roll cage here. Got to weld it out, but otherwise it's done. So you can see it's all bolts in like factory. Oh, there. It all bolts in like factory because it is all factory, just not from this truck. So if you don't get started making your big old truck on 40s stop like a sports car, you never get finished. Okay, it doesn't really stop like a sports car, but it stops really good.